Ever felt lost in English conversations, struggling to keep up? Today we're diving into a goldmine of authentic expressions from none other than John Cena. By the end of this video, you'll be armed with powerful phrases to boost your English fluency and confidence. Ready to sound more natural and engaging? Let's get into it.
You are absolutely fantastic. I want to talk to you about many, many things.
Let's talk, man. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. Here's, this is my cheat sheet.
We're never going to get through all that.
When John Cena says, let's get into it, he's signaling it's time to start discussing the main topic. This versatile phrase is perfect for kicking off conversations or diving into important matters. Here's how it's used. We've got an exciting guest today, so without further ado, let's get into it. Alright team, let's get into it. We've got a lot to cover today. Now that everyone's settled, let's get into it. Today we're learning about photosynthesis. Remember, this phrase shows enthusiasm and readiness to begin. So use it when you're excited to start a discussion or activity.
And it's also generational. Someone who watched in the 70s can bond with someone who watched in the 80s and performs with it today. And we speak the same language because of what we saw.
When Cena says, and we speak the same language because of what we saw, he's not talking about English. This phrase means to understand each other or share similar views. It's about connecting on a deeper level beyond just words. Let's see it in action. We really speak the same language when it comes to Star Trek theories. I'm glad we speak the same language about the importance of work-life balance. We spoke the same language from day one, which is why our startup has been so successful. Use this phrase when you want to express a strong mutual understanding or shared perspectives with someone.
Yes, very first time. We've never met.
We've never met, and so I'm also the first professional wrestler you've ever had. Yeah.
I think that's true. Who else could I have met? No.
Now, very first, this phrase is used to stress that something is happening for the initial time. It adds emphasis and can convey excitement or significance about the new experience. Look, it's her very first steps. This is my very first job interview. I hope it goes well. We're examining the very first computer ever built. Use very first when you want to highlight the novelty or importance of an initial occurrence.
Keep it with me. It's got engravings on two sides. The back is something I used to feel uncomfortable in rooms like this, in front of people.
Cena admits, I used to feel uncomfortable in rooms like this. This phrase expresses discomfort or unease in certain situations. It's an honest way to describe feelings of awkwardness or anxiety. I used to feel uncomfortable at these mixers, but now I enjoy meeting new people. I feel uncomfortable eating with chopsticks, but I'm practicing. Don't be afraid to use this phrase. It's a natural part of human experience and can help others relate to you.
I used to think I was not enough. I did not value self. So on the back of this watch, it simply says, comparison is the thief of joy.
Comparison is the thief of joy. This powerful expression warns against the negative effect of comparing yourself to others. It reminds us that constantly measuring ourselves against others can rob us of happiness. Here's how you might use it. Stop looking at influencers' lives on Instagram. Remember, comparison is the thief of joy. Focus on your own progress. Comparison is the thief of joy in sports. Use this phrase to encourage yourself or others to focus on personal growth rather than comparisons.
Doesn't tell time. I broke it a long time ago, but I keep it with me. This one tells time. This one tells perspective.
Cena says, but I keep it with me. This one tells time, this one tells perspective. This phrase means to always have something with you, either physically or mentally. It often refers to important objects, memories, or lessons. I always keep my passport with me when I'm abroad. Keep this lesson with you. Success comes from persistence. I keep my late husband's words with me every day.
There's a story about a marquee player who has passed his prime and what he's trying to do and collectively pick up the pieces of his own life. It's that rock star not being able to step off the stage story.
Next up, step off. Cena uses it in "You're going to step off the wrestling stage." This phrase means to leave or withdraw from a situation or position. It's time for me to step off and let new leadership take over. I've decided to step off the tour to focus on my health. After serving for 20 years, I'm stepping off the political stage. Use step off when you want to describe leaving a role or situation in a decisive manner.
You watched in the 70s. Yeah. I watched in the 80s. I have younger brothers who watched in the 90s. I rekindled my romance with wrestling in the 90s, and now I get to meet families that have seen it like when I started.
Sina says, I rekindled my romance with wrestling in the 90s. This means to revive a passion or interest in something. It's often used for hobbies, relationships, or careers that you've returned to after a break. Here's how it's used. Taking a lesson again, rekindled my romance with classical music. Our weekend getaway really rekindled our romance. Reading that new research paper rekindled my romance with quantum physics. Use this phrase to describe rediscovering your love for something or someone.
There's a story about a marquee player who has passed his prime.
Past his prime. In the context, the wrestler is a story about the marquee player who has passed his prime. This phrase describes someone or something that's no longer at their best or more successful period. It's often used in sports but can apply to careers or other areas of life. Many argue that the player has passed his prime, but he is still valuable to the team. This smartphone model, while reliable, has passed its prime in terms of features. Don't assume you've passed your prime just because you're over 50. Many people start successful new careers later in life. Use this phrase carefully, as it can be sensitive. It's often used in analysis or reflection rather than direct conversation.
I know retirements in wrestling sometimes are liquid. They happen and then they renege on that. I am 100% done.
I know retirements in wrestling are sometimes liquid. This implies that retirements in wrestling are not always permanent and can change or flow like a liquid. While specific to wrestling, the concept can apply to other fields. His retirement from politics seems liquid. He is already hinting at a comeback. In the music industry, farewell tours often lead to liquid retirements. Like in wrestling, retirements in boxing can be quite liquid, with champions often returning to the ring. This phrase is quite specific, but you might use it to describe any situation where a retirement or departure isn't as final as it first appears.
I did too. Early on, I was exhilarated because I thought this is the scariest thing you could do. And then, hey, I can do it, and then it's kind of exciting. Yeah.
Exhilarated. This word describes a feeling of great excitement or elation, often after overcoming a challenge or experiencing something thrilling. Let's see it in action. I was absolutely exhilarated after that final drop. Crossing the finish line, I felt exhausted but exhilarated. I was exhilarated when I got the call saying I got the position. Use exhilarated when you want to express an intense feeling of excitement and achievement.
And just you giving me 4 names, being like, man, the bad guy used to get the brass knuckles and beat the good guy, and I used to hate it. We can bond over those moments.
We can bond over those moments. This phrase means to form a connection or relationship with someone because of a shared experience or interest. It's a great way to describe how relationships are built and strengthened. Here's how you might use it. At the book club, I bonded with Sarah over our mutual admiration for sci-fi novels. The road trip gave us a chance to bond over shared adventures and mishaps. Use this phrase to describe forming connections through common experiences or interests. And there you have it. You've just added a powerful set of authentic English expressions to your language toolkit. Remember, mastering these phrases isn't just about memorization. It's about understanding their context and using them naturally. So go out there and practice these expressions and watch how they transform your English fluency.